The Attorney General's handling of the Mueller report and refusing to appear before the U.S. House has sparked a fierce political fight. But what legal and constitutional questions do his actions raise? I'm joined by David Rivkin. He served at the Justice Department and the White House counsel's office in the Reagan and George H.W. Bush administrations, and former acting Solicitor General Neil Katyal. He drafted the special counsel regulations under which Mueller was appointed. Welcome to both of you. David Rivkin, I want to start with you. You told my colleague earlier you believe Congress is overstepping its authority right now, but the Mueller letter that was sent to Barr made clear that there were concerns over how Barr was summarizing the report, and there's a conflict there. Who other than Congress could get to the bottom of that?
Congress is entitled to form a policy judgment as far as who is entitled to make a final decision about the presentation of a Mueller report under the very regulations my good friend Neil put in place. That responsibility belongs to the Attorney General, the special counsel, who's an inferior officer, Department of Justice. He submitted a report to the Attorney General. The Attorney General has been incredibly forthright and forthcoming in producing the full report very quickly, a few reductions. His summary was fair. I wish we can take partisanship and mudslinging off the table. If somebody disagrees with his summary, let's have a serious discussion about it. Every American can look at the summary and the report that is lightly redacted and reach the conclusions. There's just no reason to get into this mudslinging.
But setting Congress aside, Mueller himself raised concerns about the summary and the way that Barr was presenting the findings. So isn't Congress within their authority to look into that?
First of all, it's not clear, given the totality of conversations between Mr. Mueller and Mr. Barr, what has really transpired. But look, I've spent 9 glorious years in the executive branch. There are always collegial disputes among senior officials, not involving malfeasance, not involving politicization. So even if there's some disagreement between Mr. Mueller and Mr. Barr, happens every day in Article 2, and I'm sure in Congress as well.
Neil Katyal, I want to ask you about that letter. That letter from Special Counsel Robert Mueller to AG Barr was sent on March 27th. Less than 2 weeks later, on April 9th, the Attorney General testified before the House Appropriations Committee, and he had this exchange with Congressman Charlie Crist.
Reports have emerged recently, General, that members of the special counsel's team are frustrated at some level with the limited information included in your March 24th letter, that it does not adequately or accurately necessarily portray the report's findings. Do you know what they're referencing with that?
No, I don't. I suspect that they probably wanted, more put out.
Neil Katyal, Speaker Pelosi, as you heard earlier, accused Barr of lying to Congress, of breaking the law. Could there be consequences for the Attorney General as a result of those statements?
There will be consequences, definitely. So first of all, I disagree with my friend David entirely. The idea that the Mueller letter was some collegial thing like that Article 2 folks have all the time, absolutely not. I served in 2 administrations very high up in the Justice Department. I never saw anything even close to this. Mueller didn't have like some minor disagreement. He went to paper. He outlined his concerns, and he even quoted the end of the special counsel regulations, which talk about the need for public disclosure to Congress. So I think my friend's also absolutely wrong about the special counsel regulations being all about an executive branch investigation. The whole idea of them was to investigate, and particularly if you're talking about a sitting president who can't be indicted, to provide that fact-finding to Congress. Now, you asked about Pelosi's comments and Barr's testimony, and I 100% agree with the spirit of your question, which is there's no way to watch that interchange and to watch what Barr said yesterday and what Mueller said in his March 27th letter and conclude anything but that the Attorney General was misleading the American public. Maybe it was unintentional, I don't know, but this is not the standard of an Attorney General from either party in our lifetimes. This is despicable behavior.
David Rivkin, let me ask you about something else the Attorney General said in yesterday's or in previous hearing. He said that the president can basically terminate any investigation if he believes that it is baseless. Senator Schumer sent a letter today to the Attorney General and said this was the first time I heard you articulate as Attorney General this starkly extremist view. If these views are truly your views, you do not deserve to be Attorney General. Does a view like that, saying the president is free to terminate whatever investigation he likes, does that undermine Attorney General Barr's ability to do his job?
Not at all. Let me associate myself with General Barr's view. It's axiomatic that in our constitutional system, it is the president who is the chief law enforcement officer. The president can initiate, can terminate, or can impact the course of any investigation as a constitutional matter. As a policy matter, as a matter of political probity, it would not be wise for the president to do that. But it's not the same as to say it's unconstitutional, constitute an obstruction of justice. Here again, we're going to have a serious dialogue about those issues. But it's regrettable that Mr. Schumer sees fit to throw those accusations. And by the way, I don't agree at all with the notion about lying. To put it very simply by General Barr, the question was whether he was aware that some members of Mr. Mueller's staff were disenchanted. He said no, based upon the fact that he has not spoken with any such members, and presumably Mr. Mueller has not told him that. Again, to accuse somebody...
But again, at that time, he said that. He had a letter. He had a letter in which Mr. Mueller and his team had said, we have concerns about the way you've summarized our report.
These are concerns about presentation, the pace of release, whether or not you can have intermediate release of a summary of a report when Mr. Barr knew that he was going to release the entire report. It's regrettable. It's unworthy of what we're dealing with to be throwing that kind of false accusations around.
Neil, go ahead. Go ahead.
David, that's not what the letter says. The letter says that because of Barr's non-summary summary, he distorted things, and so the public was left with the wrong impression. And your whole explanation, which I just heard, which astounds me, which is, oh, the question that Representative Christ asked was about the staff. I mean, that boomerangs on you, because after all, Barr's explanation yesterday was, oh, Mueller didn't actually write the letter. I thought it was written by his staff. So by your own reasoning, he would have had to disclose this. So none of this makes any sense. And look, I understand you're a great lawyer, but the lengths to which you are going to defend this Attorney General, who will go down in history as one of the most misleading people to hold that office, maybe the most,
Neil,
is I think very sad.
Can I just make one point? What is the point? Think about the plausibility of somebody who's a distinguished public servant, a good friend, who misleads the American public for a couple of weeks, knowing full well that he's going to release the entire report with tiny redactions. How does it make any sense? Forget morality, just as a matter of pragmatism.
Let me ask you this. Just a few seconds left here. There were a number of questions about the way the Attorney General answered some of the questions in testimony. People thought he was evasive and parsing words. Has he undermined his ability? Has he lost credibility in his ability to serve as the chief law enforcement officer?
Not at all. I frankly think his question has lost more credibility. And again, the fact, for example, we're fighting now over unusual format for his testimony to the House Judiciary Committee, where for the first time in history, you're going to have 30-minute discourse by outside counsel doing courtroom drama-style inquisition, tells you how far we've gone down this road as a country. We got to do better than that.
Neil Katyal, just a few seconds left. What do you see happening next?
Yeah, I think that there are going to be these 30-minute questions. Barr is going to have to testify and face them just as Michael Chertoff did in Whitewater, just as in Iran-Contra. There were cabinet secretaries who testified to staff. It's all going to happen. And if Barr plays chicken, as he's been, he's going to get subpoenas. He's going to be held in contempt. And I think there will be other consequences as well. The Democrats will cut out funding for the Office of the Attorney General and target this lawless Attorney General.
We'll have to leave it there. Neil Katyal and David Rivkin, thank you very much for being here.
Good to be with you.
Thank you.